Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're one of my continued followers, I want to thank you. And I try to come up with videos that have some kind of relationship with myself or things that I think that the overall community here in America could relate to. And many of these stories are tragic and make you scratch your head and wonder what in the world is this world coming to, especially inside of America. And this one is coming straight out of Chicago. As I said, I can relate to it, being originally from Chicago. And last Friday, two teens leaving Loop High School were fatally shot in a midday shooting on Friday that startled onlookers under the busy L train station in the center of the city. So this is downtown Chicago. These kids get out for lunch. They were going to Popeyes for lunch around 12:30 p.m. and a SUV had evidently been following them. These guys jumped out of the car and shot and killed these two kids. And so around 12:30 p.m., the teens, 16 and 17-year-old boys, were leaving Innovative High School with four other people. As the group was in the first block of the North Wabash Avenue, two vehicles pulled up and several people exited before opening fire. Each boy was shot in the chest. They went to Northwestern Medical Hospital. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the 17-year-old boy as Montario Williams and the 16-year-old as Robert Boston. Autopsies confirmed that both teens died from multiple gunshots and their deaths ruled as homicides. Man, what in the world is happening in Chicago specifically, but in many of our major cities throughout the country? This is extremely alarming. And jumping out, I mean, this sounds like this is something that's taking place in a third world country or in Mexico, and the cartel are jumping out and just shooting people in broad daylight. How is this happening in America? And then how is it happening in one of our top three cities in America? Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, New York, Philadelphia, LA. This is taking place all throughout our cities, throughout our country. And then Chicago decided, the state of Illinois decided to enact a cashless bond system for people that commit minor crimes, that they can get out under their own recognizance and come back to court to see if they're going to be convicted of the crime they got caught committing. With all of this gun violence, this migrant crisis issue, shoplifting, looting, the number of murders that are taking place, the state of Illinois is the last place that should be loosening up their gun laws, major and minor crime laws and bills. People are running around there like it's the wild, wild west. But the state legislators decide to do a cashless bond system, not necessarily for murder, but for minor crimes. And then how do you define what a minor crime is versus a major one? It makes no sense. The last thing that the state of Illinois needs to do is to loosen their criminal laws. They need to tighten them. Chicago is down 1,000 police officers, 1,000. And this whole self-policing, defunding the police is the craziest thing in the world. When the average citizen wants to go to work, take care of their family, and come home, go shopping in a peaceful, safe way. But you're having in downtown Chicago, this is not in the south side or the deep west side, this is in downtown Chicago, where tourism, where people visiting, where hotels or restaurants are, And if you are visiting Chicago, sitting at a restaurant, you look out the window and then 25 shots go off and 2 or 3 people are on the ground dying, who wants to visit Chicago? I mean, these politicians and these legislators, they're destroying the city of Chicago each and every day. And the last place that needs to be a migrant, a sanctuary city, is Chicago. They can't even take care or have a sanctuary for the people that have been living there. It's the wild, wild west. It makes no sense. And so, in this particular situation, witnesses at the scene said they heard up to 20 shots. 20 shots fired at the boys, and it was described as an ambush. This happened between Washington Street and Madison. Now, just a year ago, in April 2023, another pair of teen boys, also 16 and 17, were shot on the first block of East Washington Street, just a half a block south of this shooting. And in that same year, a 16-year-old boy was shot and killed near the Bean Sculpture in Millennium Park. This is happening each and every day in Chicago. And the peculiar and interesting and ironic narrative in this is 3 of your most prominent black entertainers, sports figures, leaders come straight out of Chicago. And who is that? President Barack Obama, first black president, comes straight out of Chicago. First black athletic billionaire, Michael Jordan, garnered his fame straight out of Chicago. And then your first black female entertainer, Oprah Winfrey, right out of Chicago. And so they made all their money and their fame in Chicago, even ex-President Barack Obama. And you're not hearing anything from them. Now, it's not just their responsibility to make sure Chicago is safe, but I think there should be an outcry, especially from ex-President Barack Obama, when you're seeing all this gun violence taking place with kids that look just like him. I didn't think he did very much when he was in office for black people in and of itself. But now that he has left office, you don't hear anything from ex-President Barack Obama. And he should be the first one that it has a bullhorn on trying to make Chicago safe. He should be making a phone call to the federal government, whatever they need to do. He should be doing advertising campaigns to increase the police force. Police officers need to be paid more. We don't need less of them. We need more of them. Now, they have to be accountable for their behavior. There's no question there. But Chicago shouldn't be down 1,000 police officers when you're you're the third or fourth largest city in America, and you're having open gun battles in the middle of the day. I mean, these people now are so egregious. They don't wait till midnight, 1 in the morning, and shoot you in an alley. They will shoot you at 11 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, with 1,000 people out there. And fortunately, after the shooting took place, 2 or 3 of the guys took off on foot while the rest of them were in the car, and they went to a restaurant and tried to change, a fast food restaurant, tried to change their clothes. And fortunately, one of the guys got caught. So, of course, the police are definitely going to give him both murder charges, and he's going to tell on the rest of the folks. So hopefully these people can be caught. But this level of gun violence and these senseless killings that are taking place, Cure Violence is based out of Chicago. A lot of these non-violent prevention programs are not working. They also are advocates for defunding the police, and they think that we should police ourselves, which is the most ridiculous thing on the planet. The amount of guns, illegal guns, conceal and carry, is absurd. Any 17, 18, 19, 21-year-old who's walking around with a gun should be trying to find some place to get a job or be in college. You can't bring a gun to your workplace. You can't bring your gun to the college university. Anything that you're doing that you need to have a gun, you need to stop doing. And anything that's positive in contributing to the health and welfare of yourself and your community, you don't need a gun. There are too many guns on the street, and these young folks who do not have fully developed brains are coming from many fatherless homes, poverty stricken situations, or resulting to gun violence to deal with any kind of conflict or tempered situation, and that is not helpful, is harmful. The value of a human's life, the humanity and the humanness, we have completely lost this. You have these kids running around like it is the children of the corn. Children are raising children. They have no regard for authority figures. Where are the mentors, the black fathers, the black uncles, the grandfathers that need to guide these young men into the right direction? We have, as citizens, what we do need to do versus non-violent and gun prevention programs is to go back and mentor these kids into the right direction. Teachers are not being paid enough. They're disrespected by the parents and the students. Tons of bad behavior, tons of fights. These high schools look like prisons. You got to walk through a metal detector, the bars on the window. All of this is programming to get these kids to be institutionalized. And now high school, instead of it being a playing field for you to eventually go to college, many of these inner city urban high schools are a playing field to prepare you to go to prison. Nobody's learning anything. Nobody has any respect for administrators or teachers. Teachers have not been paid enough. They are stressed out, and many teachers are leaving the field. 2,500 New York City police officers before retirement left the police force last year. 2,500. They need 3,000 police officers in New York City. They need 1,000 in Chicago. They need 400 in St. Louis, Missouri. These guys are not being paid enough. Their life is on the line each and every day. And now, as a result of Black Lives Matter, if they do have an altercation with a citizen, they can lose their job, get placed on the news. So it has put a stranglehold and a shackle on our policing and our police forces throughout the United States. And then these liberal laws is allowing anybody and everybody to shoplift, to loot. There's been tons of that down on the Chicago Magnificent Mile. You've seen videos of that. It's been being done in LA where 50 and 60 black kids or black people are running in these stores, and it is decimating our cities. 25% of the commercial real estate in Chicago is vacant. What do you think is happening to tourism? Corporate America is leaving Chicago. Who would want to do a convention in Chicago when you walk out during lunchtime in downtown Chicago, the heartbeat of the city of Chicago? You have the Magnificent Mile, the Chicago Board of Trade. You have all kinds of the football stadium down there, Shed's Aquarium. There's so much to do in downtown Chicago. It's a beautiful city, but it is being destroyed by the amount of gun violence that is taking place. And now with these young kids, their entire lives are in front of them, and they're just being decimated with gun violence and death. So these two kids, their lives are over. They just got murdered. When they find out who the perpetrators were, they're not going to be my age, 50 years old, who committed these crimes. They're going to be young people in their teens and 20s. They committed this crime, and when they get convicted and go to jail for life, their lives are over. So there's going to be a multitude of people whose lives will be destroyed as a result of this. And then look at the bystanders who saw this and who was around it. They're going to have PTSD for the rest of their lives. We in America have a brewing and a underbelly of chaos and disruption. Public safety is a real issue, and we are operating like a third world country while the federal government is trying to take care of all of these wars in Ukraine and Russia and the Gaza Strip, the migrant crisis. Chicago is the last place that needs to be a sanctuary city. You have all of this gun violence, gang violence, this degrading rap music. The citizens of Chicago are not being taken care of. It's not a safe haven for them. And now you're going to bring 1,400,000, 500,000 migrants who don't speak English, have not been vetted, living out in the cold. Eventually, they're going to get involved in the criminal activity. I mean, what is it? Chicago should not be a sanctuary city. Chicago should not be a sanctuary city, and they're not taking care of the citizens that are living there. This gun violence, and I had to do a video about it, has got to stop. These kids are purging each other each and every day. When one black teenager looks at another, he does not see himself. He sees an enemy. We have these demonic forces that are taking place, which are going to change the entire narrative of America moving forward. Our kids are our future, and they're not learning a trade. They're not wanting to go to college. Everybody wants to get the bag by any means necessary, become a rapper, a basketball player, where these kids are listening and trying to propagate the wrong individuals and worshiping deities and idols, false idols, is ridiculous. We're going to lose an entire generation. Our future is in these kids, but there won't be any around. They'll either be in prison or dead. And we have to change this. So yes, this situation just took place last Friday, right down in downtown Chicago, in the Loop, and is devastating. And let's pray for all families that were involved in this situation, the mothers of these kids, the fathers of these kids. We need to have more black males involved in these homes, and let's manifest our truth in the right direction. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience.